Well, from 1979 until 1990, I toured the world with Stefan Grappelli, sitting in Django's chair, the hot seat. I think I was on, must have been 20 or more albums with Stefan. When we were in our concerts, to break things up a little bit, he always used to give me a solo, where he would just leave him and the bass player would leave the stage and I would just play. And also the bass player used to get a feature, and then right at the end Stefan would sit down and play piano, which was a big surprise. A lot of people didn't realise he was a really, really good piano player, played in sort of Art Tatum style. But he used to leave the stage for me to play a solo piece. And there were a few things that I used to play. He always liked me to play something that was a bit upbeat. He didn't want me to play anything that was too slow. He didn't want me to play a ballad or anything. He said, keep it kind of upbeat. So this song, They Can't Take That Away From Me, was one I started to play on Stefan's concerts in the 80s. And I've recorded this many times now over the years. But again, it's always evolving, so it's worth me doing another version of it now, because this is nothing like the versions I did in the 80s or the 90s. Just continuously evolving. This is, we jazz musicians, we can do that, because it's not like we have the definitive version of a piece of music. You look at somebody like Oscar Peterson. Let's think of something that he played. He used to like to play Tenderly. Now, how many versions of Tenderly did he record? Django Reinhardt wrote and recorded Nuage. He recorded it, I can't remember whether it was 9 times or 11 times. So if he'd have lived longer, he would have recorded it many more times. How many times did Stefan Grappelli record Sweet Georgia Brown? I don't know. I recorded it with him probably at least 15, 16 times. And that's just with me. So we can continue to revisit this music all the time and find different ways of playing it. This is the great thing about this art form. On this particular version, I started doing this a few years ago. I was inspired by the great Freddie Green, who played rhythm guitar in the Count Basie Orchestra. And I was very fortunate to meet him in 1973. I was playing on a jazz cruise in the Caribbean. The Count Basie Orchestra came on, and I got to chat with him a few times, but I used to stand at the side of the stage and just sit and listen to him, and I used to be amazed when he was playing the sound he got out of the guitar, which wasn't mic'd. And the action of his guitar, I'm not kidding you, it was that far away. I mean, I once asked him if I could have a look at his guitar, and he very kindly said, "Yeah, here you go, kid." And he handed it to me, and I couldn't even press the strings down. I mean, it was like that. It was unbelievable. That's how he got his sound and his volume. I was just thinking about it, and I was thinking, well, yeah, this could be. I was thinking about a version of Frank Sinatra singing this, and I was thinking about that album that Frank Sinatra did with the Count Basie Orchestra, Live at the Sands in Las Vegas. Classic album. And so I thought, well, yeah, I'll do this. Sinatra recorded this song, and I thought Sinatra, Freddie Green. So I started to play it, just experimenting with that, just starting off with that Freddie Green 4-in-a-bar rhythm. I was very fortunate with meeting. One of the great things about when you start playing when you're very, very young is that you get to work with the older players, and of course now I'm one of the older people, but I look back at some of the people that I work with now who would all be well over 100 years old. So it's like you become a little bit of a bridge from one generation to another, goes over many generations. So I met a number of met Count Basie, met a number of the guys in the band, and I started to work with a few of the guys as well later on. Jimmy Forrest, the saxophone player, Al Gray, trombone player, I worked with him a lot. In fact, Al Gray gave me my best music lesson ever. I was on a recording session with him, and I was very young, and he played, and then he soloed, someone else soloed, then it came to the guitar solo, and I had to play just one chorus, which I did, and I was so nervous. I thought, I've got to impress him a little bit, so I kind of did all kinds of things in this solo. And then when we finished, Al said, "Yeah, that was good, guys." He said, but he pointed to me and he said, "Look, only thing, Martin," he said, "take that solo again." He said, "But this time I don't want you to play everything you know." It was a fantastic lesson. I was a bit I felt a bit embarrassed because of all the other musicians there at the time, but I totally got it. I thought, yeah, just tell a story. Don't try to impress. And it was a fantastic lesson that he gave me. I'm a kind of self-taught player. I never had formal lessons, but I was very fortunate to be around great musicians like that, giving just priceless advice. It's pure gold. So this song, They Can't Take That Away From Me, comes from 1937, George and Ira Gershwin. It came from a film called Shall We Dance, Fred Astaire movie. And of course Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers did a famous routine in this. George Gershwin actually died 2 months before the film was released, and he got a posthumous nomination, Academy Award, a posthumous Oscar nomination. He didn't actually win the Oscar. That went to a Bing Crosby song, because Bing Crosby was a huge star at that time. So with this, really, I'm keeping the spirit of Freddie Green going here in a different kind of way, because of course he played with a pick, I'm playing fingerstyle, but just getting that kind of feel, suggesting that feel. Again, sometimes I kind of drop out of that 4-in-a-bar, but to the listener you don't really hear that I'm dropping out, because I've already suggested it. You've got that strong pulse going, got the strong melody on the top, and of course, like a lot of things that I do when I play solo, is very much inspired by piano players.